Looks like we got a little bit of a smaller crowd so far, but that's okay. If you're new to this, if you're new, I read horror stories live every Tuesday night. Live every. And sometimes I forget to turn off the volume on the other computer. There we go. Sorry about that. Well, tonight, hey guys, hey Kelly, Alan. Um, Tonight I'm going to read a story by Gwendolyn Kiste, which I do have permission to read. Um, and it's short, but it's pretty powerful. So let me get a drink of water here. And I will start. Hey, Kim. All right, so this one is titled In the Belly of the Wolf by Gwendolyn Kiste. Close your eyes, but remember, the wolf hides best in the darkness. Your family warned you long ago. A young man should never walk unattended in the woods, especially at night when the full moon flashes like a faded coin. The silvery evening spins wicked promises it can't keep. It conjures magic, like a gleaming figure, her body halfway between woman and wolf. Are you lost, sir? She smiled at you, broad and savage, and never were you so certain you were exactly where you belonged. In the mountains, bitter as heartbreak, she howled for you, and you answered. We're all born wild, she whispered, as you curled with her on verdant hills that sloped like breasts beneath your bodies. Soon, she swelled with your love, and you daydreamed of a life together. But your family discovered your secret. They condemned you, pelted you with words and whips, and told you what you must do. You must be a good son. You must do the right thing. After all, a man cannot marry a wolf, no matter how well the daylight hides her wildness. Tonight you find her in the forest, waiting for you, her belly round and smooth as marble. You're late, she says, and you kiss her, the taste of sweet stars on her lips. The baby kicks beneath her pelt, and you want to stay with her. But this is not meant to be. The knife trembles behind your back, and the last thing you see as the curved blade sinks into her womb is the grief in her eyes, more potent than monkshood. Hands red with shame, you wrench the child from her and cut the last tether that binds you to the wolf. Try not to scream in agony as it snaps. Monty, yeah, hi, Monty. You can come over here, buddy. Yeah. When you're done, her insides will be cavernous and wanting, and you might feel obliged to give her something in return, a trade of sorts. You have several options. Fill her with sweet meats still glistening red. Fill her with rocks as heavy as regret. Fill her with nothing at all. Remember, she is a wolf. She's lucky you don't slit her throat, and you're lucky she doesn't rip out yours. You should finish her, but instead you run. Faster now. In your arms, the child does not cry. She only stares at you, her eyes like fragile ice, soft and accusing. Halfway home, dip her pink body in the murmuring brook and rinse the placenta from between her fingers and toes. Banish every trace of the mother who would have loved her and would have loved you too, if only the moon had allowed it. With your heart in your boots, return to your cottage with the child. Remind yourself, this is for her own good. She deserves better than a feral beast of a mother. But she also deserves better than you. I would agree with that, Kim. Your family, pleased with her betrayal, welcomes you across the threshold. You've done well, our son, they say, but you do not feel well. You fear you'll never feel well again. At night, as the baby babbles in her crib, you sit at the fireplace, strung with dried amaranth and silver buttons, silly wards that will repel nothing when the wolf comes calling. And she will come calling. Already you hear her, those distant howls once meant for you, howls that remind you of green hills and sweet stars and a belly full of longing. Close your eyes and pretend not to sob. Overnight, your daughter blossoms, but not in the way you hoped. Do your best to tame her, comb the tangle of briars atop her crown, and file her dagger-sharp teeth into a respectable shape. You don't want your kin to see the wild that lives in her like a wall of ivy, untamed and ever-growing. Besides, there's already enough tempest here. The wolf circles closer now. In the evening, her silken pelt rustles against the fastened shutters. The moon is not full, but that no longer matters. No lunar cycle can temper her rage. Before dawn, her sweet lullaby beckons you, and you swallow the howl that bubbles up in your throat like grog in a Yule kettle. You want to go to her, to love her, to beg for forgiveness, but you know it's too late for sorry. Their faces gray as steel. Your family sets snares around the cottage, desperate for relief and for a hide to drape from the mantle. To keep the child from the cold, they say, and the mere suggestion prickles your flesh. You can imagine nothing crueler than the skin of her own mother warming her daughter on a winter's eve. But the wolf is too clever for your simple-minded stock. One by one, the snares snap, but it's never her body you discover in the morning. You become good at moving earth, as the funerals of your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters become as regular as Sunday Mass. At each burial, close your eyes and this time pretend to sob. Pretend you are despondent, even though you are not, even though you are secretly relieved that she lives and your family does not. The wolf leaves you for last. You aren't sure if this is punishment or mercy. Tonight, you'll find her in the forest, waiting for you. Go to her now. There is nothing left to stop you. Just don't expect forgiveness. Instead, expect only what you deserve. When she materializes in the shadows, tip back your head and cry out. Don't worry if the melody from your lips is more monster than mortal. You were born wild. We all are. As she closes in, offer her the daughter you stole, the daughter who pirouettes in the moonlight as if it's her own kin. And in the devouring darkness, walk to the wolf who will never stop loving, never stop circling, never stop howling at the silvery moon, her belly empty as the universe. That's pretty dark. I guess that's why they call it dark fiction, dark fantasy. Oh, that guy's a jerk. I'm calling it. What do you guys think? What else should I read tonight? It's probably going to be a short one, but let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Gwendolyn Kiste is a damn good writer. If you haven't checked out her work yet, you really should. She's got, hey Scott, she's got a book coming up, which I've plugged before on the show, but you know how my memory is. Oh, no, yep, here it is. No, that's Nadia's book. Actually, give me a second. I have it in my email too. That'll work. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Because, yeah, I want you guys to buy her book. And it comes out in April, I believe. And in the meantime, if you haven't read her other stuff, you can check that out. It's titled, right, The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own. The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own. Let's get the mood lighting back. There we go. Um, yeah, she's a very poetic writer, Scott. So there you go. How about a short M.R. James story? How'd that be? Let's see. This is titled There Was a Man Dwelt by a Churchyard. This, you know, is the beginning of the story about sprites and goblins, which Mamilius, the best child in Shakespeare, was telling to his mother, the queen, and the court ladies when the king came in with his guards and hurried her off to prison. There is no more of the story. Mamilius died soon after without having a chance of finishing it. Now, what was it going to have been? Shakespeare knew, no doubt, and I will be bold to say that I do. It was not going to be a new story. It was to be one which you have most likely heard and even told. Everybody may set it in what frame he likes best. This is mine. There was a man dwelt by a churchyard. His house had a lower story of stone and an upper one of timber. The front windows looked out on the street, and the back ones on the churchyard. It had once belonged to the parish priest, but this was in Queen Elizabeth's days. The priest was a married man and wanted more room. Besides, his wife disliked seeing the churchyard at night out of her bedroom window. She said she saw, but never mind what she said. Anyway, she gave her husband no peace till he agreed to move into a larger house in the village street. And the old one was taken by John Poole, who was a widower and lived there alone. He was an elderly man who kept very much to himself, and people said he was something of a miser. The guy a break. He's a widower. It was very likely true. He was morbid in other ways, certainly. In those days, it was common to bury people at night and by torchlight. And it was noticed that whenever a funeral was toward, John Poole was always at his window, either on the ground floor or upstairs, according as he could get the better view from one or the other. There came a night when an old woman was to be buried. She was fairly well-to-do, but she was not liked in the place. The usual thing was said of her that she was no Christian and that on such nights as Midsummer Eve and All Hallows she was not to be found in her house. She was red-eyed and dreadful to look at, and no beggar ever knocked on her door. Yet when she died, she left a purse of money to the church. There was no storm on the night of her burial. It was fair and calm. But there was some difficulty about getting bearers and men to carry the torches, in spite of the fact that she had left larger fees than common for such as did that work. She was buried in woolen without a coffin. No one was there but those who were actually needed and John Poole, watching from his window. Just before the grave was filled in, the parson stooped down and cast something upon the body, something that clinked, and in a low voice he said words that sounded like, thy money perish with thee. Then he walked quickly away, and so did the other men, leaving only one torchbearer to light the sexton and his boy while they shoveled the earth in. These are some really judgmental people. Throw that credit card in the coffin. They made no very neat job of it, and the next day, which was a Sunday, the churchgoers were rather sharp with the sexton, saying it was the untidiest grave in the yard, and indeed, when he came to look at it himself, he thought it was worse than when he had left it. Meanwhile, John Poole went about with a curious air, half exulting, as it were, and half nervous. More than once he spent an evening at the end, which was clean contrary to his usual habit. And to those who fell into talk with him, there he hinted that he had come into a little bit of money and was looking out for a somewhat better house. I have thoughts on that. Well, I don't wonder, said the smith one night. I shouldn't care for that place of yours. I should be fancying things all night. The landlord asked him, what sort of things? Well, maybe somebody climbing up to the chamber window, or the like of that, said the smith. I don't know, old Mother Wilkins that was buried a week ago today, huh? Come, I think you might consider of a person's feelings, said the landlord. It ain't so pleasant for Master Poole, is it now? Master Poole don't mind, said the smith. He's been there long enough to know. I only says it wouldn't be my choice. What with the passing bell and the torches when there's a burial, and all them graves laying so quiet when there's no one about, only they say there's lights. Don't you never see no lights, Master Poole? No, I don't never see no lights, said Master Poole sulkily, and called for another drink and went home late. That night, as he lay in his bed upstairs, a moaning wind began to play about the house, and he could not go to sleep. He got up and crossed the room to a little cupboard in the wall. He took out of it something that clinked, and put it in the breast of his bedgown. Then he went to the window and looked out into the churchyard. Have you ever seen an old brass in a church with a figure of a person in a shroud? It is bunched together at the top of the head in a curious way. Something like that was sticking up out of the earth in a spot of the churchyard, which John Poole knew very well. He darted into his bed and lay there very still indeed. Presently, something made a very faint rattling at the casement. With a dreadful reluctance, John Poole turned his eyes that way. Alas! Between him and the moonlight was the black outline of the curious bunched head. Then there was a figure in the room. Dry earth rattled on the floor. A low, cracked voice said, "Where is it?" And steps went hither and thither, faltering steps, as of one walking with difficulty. It could be seen now and again peering into corners, stooping to look under chairs. Finally, it could be heard fumbling at the doors of the cupboard in the wall, throwing them open. There was a scratching of long nails on the empty shelves. The figure whipped around, stood for an instant at the side of the bed, raised its arms, and with a hoarse scream of, "You've got it!" At this point, our HRH Prince Mamilius, who would, I think, have made the story a good deal shorter than this, flung himself with a loud yell upon the youngest of the court ladies present, who responded with an equally piercing cry. He was instantly seized upon by H.M. Queen Hermione, who, repressing an inclination to laugh, shook and slapped him very severely. Much flushed and rather inclined to cry, he was about to be sent to bed. But on the intercession of his victim, who had now recovered from the shock, he was eventually permitted to remain until his usual hour for retiring, by which time he too had so far recovered as to assert, in bidding good night to the company, that he knew another story quite 3 times as dreadful as that one, and would tell it on the first opportunity that offered. Weird ending. But I'm picturing that dead figure or at the side of his bed in the middle of the night going like that. Creepy. Oh man. Man, it has been a long week and it's only Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing all right. Yeah, don't steal from the dead. Don't don't throw money down there. Quit being so goddamn judgmental. All kinds of lessons to take from this one. Okay, guys. I'm still recovering, so I told you this one would be short, but I will see you on keep losing stuff. Well, I will see you on Thursday, and then on Sunday, we've got Josh Mallerman, author of Incidents Around the House, which, if you haven't read, you should, or listen to it. It's it's pretty creepy, man. Creepy, creepy. So that'll be a good time. Thanks. Hope everyone has a great night.